What's up, guys and gals, for the latest episode review for Ragnarok Shumatsu Valkyrie, episode 11, the conclusion of the Beelzebub versus Tesla fight, which, once again, I like this fight in the manga, but I think it truly is, like I've been consistently saying, almost every episode of this season and last season, certain moments get elevated. Manga has a certain level of medium that needs to put pen to paper and make you feel and hear the words without any sound. And they do generally a very good job. A good mangaka can make that happen, can make you feel with just the visual, just the written word and the visual. The anime's job, once again, is to enhance that with sound direction, pacing, and voice acting. And Tesla Beelzebub here, the conclusion is just chef's kiss to a fight that, once again, I didn't rank as high as a lot of people did, but I have to say is now sort of creeping up in my rankings because it is just, regardless that Beelzebub had a way too long a backstory, a little bit too much screen time for his character, for what his character is and what it represents. Regardless of that fact, the round was awesome. The fight was entertaining. And Tesla as a character was simplistic but also complicated at the same time. He had a very one-dimensional way of looking at things, but that's what became very endearing about his character. And even as he goes out, you know, his speech with the soundtrack, with the music and stuff, just his humanity, you know, and just like smiling, like, it doesn't matter that I lost. Do not give up. Humanity's spirit, humanity's evolution can never die. We won't let it. You know, he was very similar to Adam, not as grandiose as Adam's sacrifice, of course, but in a similar vein. He went out in that same just baller-ass way. And Beelzebub, recognizing that Tesla, and Zeus recognizes this afterwards, that Tesla's final gambit there, the only reason that it failed was because Beelzebub did not believe a man like Tesla. It's because, like Zeus acknowledges, because it's Beelzebub, because he reads his opponents, because he sees beyond that stuff, he knew that the barrage must have been part of a plan, must have been some type of ruse, because Tesla is not a frontline. He's not Lu Bu. He's not Thor. He's not a straight up fighter. You know what I mean? He is not. That's not his game. He is a magician. He's history's only true magician. He's a scientist. He is going to always think outside of the box, which is ironic because most of the fight he put them in a literal box. The irony is not lost. And the fact is, Beelzebub acknowledges this, Zeus acknowledges this, they all acknowledge that the only reason that did not work is because Beelzebub knew something had to be coming. This could not be the final, you know, Tesla gives up on his style of fighting, gives up on his science. There had to be more to the attack. And that's the only reason it succeeded. Because otherwise that pincer attack would have worked against just about any god. So, the acknowledgement there, Beelzebub walking away, the crowd cheering for him and stuff like that. And twice, Beelzebub acknowledging Hades as the fight concludes. Just saying, like, you know, you got in my way one last time, but isn't this okay, Hades, and stuff like that. So, the Hades love is still represented here within the confines of Beelzebub. Tesla goes out like an absolute boss, and it's wonderful. Then we jump away to two scenes. One with Buddha. Now, this is the part, I think it was this one, but I think we had one in between this, is Brunhilde has her little ceremony room. And she's got this room where, you know, she honors the fallen. You know, Lu Bu was there. You know, Adam was there, that kind of idea, right? And obviously, since Sasuke won, he was not enshrined there. But then she pours out of this urn, like some holy water, whatever, a chalice, and puts it there to honor them. after round 4, she acknowledges Brother Heracles and says, "It might be wrong of me to do this, but I think you'd be okay being enshrined with them, wouldn't you, brother?" Sort of idea. And the idea is that Heracles is the only god. The implication there, because Poseidon was not there, is that Heracles is going to be enshrined with the losses on humanity's side, even though he was fighting on the side of the gods. This was going to be the exception, not the rule. And unlike Hermes, who was unbiased completely with his melodies, with his ballads, with his sonnets, what he was writing for each of the fallen fighters, regardless whether they were a god or a human, Brunhilde's was solely for humanity and enshrined Brother Heracles as an exception to the rule, because of course Heracles might have fought on the side of the gods, but was fighting to the same end, the same goal of stopping Ragnarok, of not agreeing with the elimination of humanity, and of course saving Jack's soul in the process. So I don't know if this is the first time this has happened, but it's certainly being acknowledged, because she's looking at it. Her shrine, her room, she acknowledges to Buddha later in the scene. This is like, you barge into my room sort of idea. This is her private room with the enshrinement, and it's enshrining all the losses, not just, you know what I mean? So I find this incredibly weird. I think this was done as a retcon or a mistake, where they forgot either the fact that Brunhilde was only acknowledging the losers, because in round 4, Poseidon was not there in that scene. Poseidon was not enshrined at the end of round 4 when she enshrined Heracles alongside of Adam and Lubu. But now they're all enshrined. All the deaths, all the losers are enshrined here. And it's like, okay, So a little bit of an issue there. The only reason that it bothers me is because it was such a sweet, tender moment where Brunhilde faltered and lost her composure and cried for the loss of her brother and stuff like that, her only brother. And because Heracles is literally the only, like, Valkyrie's brother. And he was still fighting for he was fighting for the right reasons. He lost, and he fought against her. And she hated this fact. She hated everything about it. So enshrining him with her people sort of idea was supposed to be a big thing. It's a very powerful, very sad but powerful moment. And it's now diluted and taken away when everybody's enshrined there. So what was the purpose of that speech? What was the purpose of that moment? So that's the only reason it bothers me. Plus, of course, Heracles. He's the GOAT. He's like the best character in all of Ragnarok. So, yeah, definitely a thing there. So after this, of course, Buddha is there and starts teasing Brunhilde all about her ex Siegfried and stuff like that. Like, is this a whole thing between, is this got something to do with the fact that he's locked up in Tartarus and stuff like that? I'm just wondering, like, what's going on? What's your end game? What's your deal? And he's poking fun, and she immediately just says, where did you ever get the impression that Siegfried was my ex? And Buddha's just like, wait, what? And then Brunhilde pieces, and Buddha's like, oh no. Is this literally just some high school girl meets boy bullshit? Is this first love romance crap? And he's like, oh dear Jesus, like, quite literally, or dear Buddha, in this case, he's like, oh sweet Christ and me, like, he's just like, oh really, we're doing all this because your boyfriend's locked up? Really? This is what I've been going through? Okay. Then we actually do go down to Helheim, and we do go into Tartarus, which I do find amusing to a degree, because Hades is still technically in charge of Tartarus, and he's still, because he was in charge of Helheim. He must have been aware that Siegfried was down there, and I'm curious what Hades thought about this, because obviously it's his jail, it's his bar, it's his plane, it's his boat. So regardless why he's imprisoned down there, I'm curious whether Hades ever was like, or was it beneath him to care? Like, another god says, yeah, I'm throwing these prisoners in Tartarus, because I absolutely despise them, they're my sworn enemy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, alright, fuck it, you go find the cell. I'm playing chess with a bird right now. I have no time for your bullshit. So, I am curious on Hades' opinion on this. Obviously, we're never going to get that now, but I am curious what he thought, where it was his realm and he was in charge. So that would be definitely very interesting. And as I said, at the end, we do actually see Siegfried. He's tied up, he's chained, he's very, it's obvious, the cross, the whole bit, you know what I mean? He's been tortured, he's been beaten, and he's chained to the cross. Definitely no symbology or analogy, anything needed allegory right up in there. But Siegfried, the Dragon Slayer, the hero, is chained there and is acknowledging that Brunhilde must be doing quite a bit up in the upper realms right now to stir up so much trouble. So that's the end of the episode. Interesting, nice cliffhanger, nice transition into, of course, the next round, the last round of the season, which will take place. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to see if I can get this recording done, edited, whatever, and maybe watch the next one, because this is one of my least favorite rounds. I think it did a bad service to both characters. Very hyped up characters, or at least on the humanity side, a very hyped up character, and was quite a disappointment in the manga. And that's why I said once again at the beginning of this episode review that it needs to be acknowledged that every time I say that, and I'm like, I didn't like this in the manga so much, and I was very harsh on the manga, I think the anime does its best to say, okay, this might have been a 5 out of 10. We're at least going to make it a 6.5 in the anime, and then it doesn't seem that bad. It doesn't seem egregious as much, 5 out of 10 is average. 5 out of 10 is, meh, take it or leave it. 6.5 is, alright, this is good. It's not great, but it's good, You elevate it just that little bit of difference, might make a world of difference when it all comes down. So this is probably my least favorite round that I have read in the series coming up. So I am very curious to see, other than, of course, round 6 part 2, but that's a whole nother kettle of fish. I'm hoping that I enjoy this much more than I did in the manga. That's all I'm going to say. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you back here. As I said, I'm going to try to get through this and hopefully catch up, because it's been a while. I'm going to catch up and watch episode 12, and hopefully have enough time there after watching it to review that one as well, and see if I can table my expectations a little bit and just go in there with a bit of an optimistic view that the anime is going to elevate this round like they've done so many times before. So, as I said, like, comment, subscribe, plug. And we'll see you guys back here next time for the episode 12 review. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.